Okay, can we start with one? Yeah, raining, no? Raining. Okay, we have to start the session like we can slowly continue the session, right? So, good morning, online participants. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Can you, is it visible the screen to you?
Yes, sir. Visible.
So you can come here. Like, behind. On the film, no? Right? In all normally you are going back, no? Right? To visit the health continuums, right? With lectures and clone will come in the later down, no? It from fun, right? Okay, anyway, if you are leaving the blanks, run. That is not a good practice, right? Okay, right. So anyway, can you remember what we talked about in the last day? Talk about and remember. We talk about the now we are discussing on the consumer behavior, no, right? So we discuss about the utility behavior, right? Now we are going to analyze the theory behind the demand, right? So when we are explaining the theory behind the demand, so we get the support from the utility theory and the indifference curve analysis, right? So the first part, utility theory, we discussed, right? So basic things under that, we identify the concept we identify under the utility theory. Can you remember the important concept? What is it? What is the important concept that we identify in explaining the consumer behavior under the utility theory? That concept is called marginal utility, right? So there we discuss important things. Once we observe the consumer behavior when a particular person asks to consume particular good continuously, right? What happens is there is a diminishing marginal utility, right? So that's the basic theory. So that is the underlying theory, right? Underlying concept coming under the utility theory. So there actually when we talk about the equilibrium under that situation, we identified the concept. The condition is the marginal utility. That is the extra satisfaction they are given the consumer by consuming an extra unit, right? So that's always diminished if we continuously consume. So as a human being, we observe that kind of thing, right? So that actually, when we explain the consumer behavior equilibrium situation, under that situation, we identify condition is marginal utility equals to price, right? And we discuss about the behavior, right? So why marginal utility, there's a high marginal utility value the behavior, right? And there's a lower marginal utility below the prices. So what happens, right? So they buy or not, right? And the trade-off becomes when marginal utility equals to price. So that is we identify that equilibrium, right? And then moving to the indifference curve analysis, right? So we talk about the basically the two concepts, right? When we explain the utility and we remember Gordon concept. I mean, under those two concepts, we explain the utility and the indifference curve analysis. What is it? There is the cardinal utility and the ordinal utility. So in the utility theory, we assume the utility can be measured. Right? So when there are certain assumptions, that's what why there is a diminishing marginal. Under what circumstances we can observe diminishing marginal. Those are the assumptions. As you know, it's as in economics, you always make the assumption, right? Since we are talking about the consumer behavior, right? Otherwise, we will not be able to exactly identify the behavior. There are so many factors affecting the environment, right? Therefore, we need to make certain assumptions there. Here also we talk about certain assumptions, but those assumptions are not practically more practical, no? Right? Measurability, basically, and other assumptions. So we must consume the equal quantities at a certain time continuously, others circumstances. Right? So those things are actually not happen because we take our consumption that depends on so many factors, no, under certain circumstances, situations. Right? So therefore, practically, we cannot justify the marginal utility, diminishing marginal utility, right? Otherwise, their assumption is X, no, right? So therefore, the indifference curve analysis is actually criticized by the software developments, right? So that's why, sorry, a diminishing marginal utility theory can be the measurability of utility, and the assumptions criticized, no, right? So that's why the new development in cross along with that, then we identified as the indifference curve analysis. Here, basically, what we talk about. So basically, we identified we are not worried about the measurability, you know, right? But instead of that, we are going to rank, you know, right? Rank the utilities. So we are going to arrange the utilities from lower level to the upper level. So you get lower level, upper level satisfaction. So that's why when you look at the indifference curve, there are the level of the situations, right? So that explains different. Right? Lower level indifference curve explain lower utility. Means higher level. That means they are shifting the big indifference curve to the right or higher level. So that explains the higher satisfaction, higher level of utility that the consumer. Okay. By considering bundle of here, unlike the utility theory, we take the two goods. That two goods explain bundle, no? Right? Bundle comprises different goods, no? So you can assume that because in the utility we consider particular good, no, right? But that also not realistic. No? People are consuming, they have the choice, no, right? In order to maximize the utility, they need to consume different products, no? Right? So therefore, the utility difference curve analysis, that sense also we can justify since we talk about the utilities that can be gained by consuming bundle of goods, right? Demand activity, environment has something right? The X and Y, even though we have two axes, that explain the bundles, right? Two bundles comprising different goods. Right? We know that when we are measuring the inflation, no, consumer price index, no, right? So there is a bundle of goods that we can sample, right? To explain the price variability, no, right? So that comprises basically by looking at the structure that the characteristics are there. Okay. Likewise, here also we see bundle, right? So now what are the basic features that we identify in this difference curve analysis? So in any point on the difference curve, what does it explain? It explains same level of satisfaction. Right? So you can consumer have different choices. You can select different bundles, right? That explain the different points along the indifference curve. Right? So any point on the indifference curve, those relations gives equal satisfaction. Right? So that's why it's indifferent, right? So, indifference, right? And the slope. So what is your idea about the slope of the indifference? Always in economics we talk about the slope of the curve, right? That's very important, right? We are making this. Here also when we are explaining the consumer behavior, at which point the consumer comes to the equilibrium, so we need to look at the slope, right? Here the slope, what does it explain? So that explains how the consumer can substitute goods to another, right? Because he has to substitute goods, no? If he wants to increase the consumption of one bundle of goods or one particular good, he has to sacrifice the other good. Okay, understand? Because why is it? Why? Why he has to sacrifice? You know that there is a material cost, no? Right? Right? Sacrificing means no material cost is there. But getting the highest level of satisfaction, he has to do that, right? And even though that explains the equal level of satisfaction, even though he goes to different points along the skirt, no? Right? So why is that? Towards the constraint, as we identified. Always the constraint, people has to achieve their goal subject to the constraint. Practically, we see you have so much of constraint. Even if you are studying in classroom, you have so many values. Sometimes they see it will not operate properly, right? So the value, right? You will not be able to listen or what you attention to the lecture. If there is a problem with the environment, right? So likewise, the business environment, like we are talking about business, there are micro macro environments. So there are so many obstacles, right? Even the consumers' behavior or the producers' behavior actually, we can identify those constraints. Right? So that's why we say individuals always try to maximize their, try to achieve their objectives subject to the constraint, right? In economics also we use this constraint, right? We take it to account, right? And we do some kind of mathematical models, programming, PD programming, right? Optimization problem, right? In order to analyze those situations. We can study those things, you can think about that when you go to the next stage, business, right? Okay. And say you will see so much of analysis subject to the constraint. Even they are in that level, you discuss the producers as this level we talk about consumers' behavior. When we go to the business economics, basically look at the producers aspect, right? From that onward, we can start. It's a continuation, even though studies about it, that's another one of this was unique, right? This program, right? So what is the slope? So that is the marginal rate of substitution, MRS. Slope of the indifference curve, right? Look at the slope of the indifference curve, right? So that is explained by the change, right? So delta I over delta x, right? In the indifference curve, we take the two axes x and y, right? So the slope means delta x over delta y, right? Change, right? So that is the marginal rate of substitution, MRS, right? So that explains how the consumer can change, right? This consumption, right? From one good to another good. We increase the consumption of a particular good, yes, sacrifice from the other goods. We talk about this behavior on the fixed income situation, right? There's a fixed income or given level of income. Yes, utilize that income such a manner to maximize the living. So that means there is a negative, right? That's why the indifference curve is negatively so, right? So there is a marginal rates of substitution that continuously decrease, right? And other thing is we can identify other feature in the indifference map, right? Indifference map means there are, if you plot the indifference curve for the particular consumer, right? So how we can consume at different level. There can be a different level of maybe there is ice take or maybe there is a rising income, right? So there can be different level of difference. So the changes in the difference curve, so shifting the difference curve explain the different level of satisfaction. Right? So indifference map explain different indifference curves. Right? There are actually the lower level of satisfaction and the lower level of indifference. Right? And higher level of satisfaction and the higher levels of indifference. Right? So, so that is the next feature, right? So in indifference map, right? So there can be different indifference curve that explain different level of satisfaction that the consumer can gain but that depends on his income, right? His income, right? So you can think about what happened, this satisfaction change when there is a change in the price. So how it is subject to the satisfaction when there is a change in the income, right? Right? So then the level of satisfaction change. That means we are moving to different indifference and any difference so likewise. So that principle, that feature we identified as the different indifference here in an indifference map, no NDP map, right? Right. So and we identified the diminishing satisfaction, no, right? So along the indifference here, right? So if you increase the consumption of one good, right? So that we identified as the slope, right? So there is a decline in the slope, right? So decline in the satisfaction. So if you increase the consumption of one goods, that will be at one side, increase the consumption of other products, right? That explained by the marginal rate of substitution in Mars, right? So how we calculate marginal rate of substitution in Mars? Simply that is the slope of the indifference curve. So delta y over delta x, no? We have the access to products x and y, no? Right? So that explains the slope, right? Okay. Right. So those are the basic features, right? Now, okay, right? Now one thing, higher indifference curve, right? So, you know how to get the whiteboard? So that's it. So can you see the screen if I, students? Can you see the screen? Is it, can you see the screen, those who are participating online? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can see the screen.
Okay. So now if you put the y and x, no, right? So this is the indifference curve from ice, right? So we know that the slope, now if we take the one combination, right? Another combination, right? So slope gives delta y over delta x.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I can see the computer screen only. We can see the whiteboard. The computer screen only. We can see.
It's not shared, no? No. Mali, කොටක් වෙනවා okay, right? Now the slope is delta plus speed, right? The base. Okay, so can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir, we can see the whiteboard.
All right. Okay. So this is the now we are drawing the indifference curve, right? So this is IC1, right? So if you can take the 2 points, 2 combinations. So here Y0, Y1, X1. So those are the different combination. Now you can take the slope. Slope means the delta Y over delta X, right? So that is we identified as the marginal rate of substitution, no? Right? Delta Y over delta X, right? So that actually decrease, and we see the why the indifference curve is negatively sloped, right? Because there is a substitution take place. So because we are talking about the situation under the constraint, right? Constraint, right? So that is the main constraint is the income. So we assume consumer has the fixed income, no? Right? Fixed income, no? Right? A given level of income, right? Okay, right? Now higher level of indifference curve explain to take higher level, right? That explain the higher level of satisfaction. So if you take the IC2, so that explain higher level of satisfaction. So the consumer can move to the higher level of satisfaction, right? So if there is a change in the price or there's a change in the income, no? Right? Because this is another income level, no? Right? So yes, right? This is another IC1 is we can take at a particular income level, fixed income level. No? So we assume when you draw the indifference curve, right, to explain the equilibrium points, different equilibrium points that the consumer can consume, no? And get the equal level of satisfaction, right? So when other factors remaining constant, no, right? So the basic other factor that we assume is the income, no, right? And all other factors that affect the consumption remaining, right? So higher level of indifference curve explain higher level of satisfaction because IC1, right? The utility now, if you take the particular point here, A, and the particular point here in the second indifference curve B, right? Utility A is less than utility B, right? So higher level of satisfaction can be gained at point B, right? Since it's higher level because the consumer has higher level of preference, no, right? Combination, and he can move to that level because his income level change, no, right? And if you talk about the our another indifference curve, right? Let's take now, so it should be not intersect, right? So I made a mistake, right? Actually, if you draw this way, right? So I see, let's say I see T, I see 3, right? So this point is A, right? We'll take the common point is the point A, right? And we take another 2 points, point B and the C, right? Right? So the point A and the B are IC1. Again IC3. Again point A and C lies IC1, right? So if we take the utility B at the point of utility B, right, equals to utility A. What is the reason? What is the reason? The satisfaction gain at the point A equals to the satisfaction gain at the point B, no, right? Because it lies same indifference, right? IC3, no, right? IC3, right? And the utility C also equals to utility A, no, right? Because it's lies another indifference curves IC1, no, right? Those 2 points are the points along the IC1, no, right? Same indifference curve, no, with the same level of satisfaction. So therefore, what is your conclusion based on this? Utility A equal B, A equal C, you know, right? So that means utility should C should equals to B, no? No? Can it be happen? B and the C. So those are not the same indifference curve. This cannot be happen. Because utility C gives higher level of satisfaction than the utility B because it lies above the indifference curve IC3, no, right? So point C is the higher level of point than the point B. So this is higher level point C, no, right? So this cannot be happen, right? So therefore we can say indifference curve cannot intersect each other, right? They cannot intersect, right? Right. So that's also another thing, right? And we identified the slope that is given by the MRS delta y over delta x. Okay? And along the indifference curve gives equal level of satisfaction, right? So the consumer is indifferent, right? We get the same level of satisfaction. Higher level of indifference curve gives higher level of satisfaction, and indifference curves cannot intersect each other, right? Okay. Right. Okay. Right now, then we need to think about the other aspect, no? Right? Now we talk about the utility, no? Right? So, when we try to maximize utility, in order to maximize the utility, person has to consume. So, in order to consume, we need money, right? Income, right? So that we assume earlier at a given level of indifference curve, people has fixed income, right? Fixed income, right? Constant income. Now, how we incorporate that, right? Even though we identify this constraint, right? We need to incorporate that income to our model. So that we introduce as budget line, no, right? Budget line. So there is the budget, no, right? Your monthly income, no, right? Your monthly nominal income, no, right? We take the budget line. So once you put the budget line, means that we know that we have a fixed level of income, no, right? Based on that, so the prices are given, right? So we can decide how much the quantities that you are going to buy, no, right? So that explains the purchasing power, no, right? Quantities that you have. So along the budget line, so we assume at a given level of fixed income, at a given level of prices, the system can consume different combinations, no, by selecting different goods, by consuming different quantities. But along the budget line, you spend maximum, no, right? All the two goods, no? Right? So that's the budget line, right? So we need to incorporate budget line because when we try to maximize the liquidity, right? So the income is the basic constraint that we need to analyze, right? So money, right? So we assume money income is fixed, no? Right? So there can be different commodity bundles, no? Right? Because we assume two goods that explain the two bundles, no? Right? So how the consumer can purchase depending on the fixing. Dan maka komodnya 100% dari komod sudah kan, and it comes to the at that level even it comes to the maximum satisfaction. Right? So there can be different combinations depending on the consumer choice. Right? So you can select different choices, combinations that we can conceive by spending his fixed income, his limited income. Right? So when we totally spend his income among the two bundles. Right? Now that is the we assume price. Two goods are the X and Y, right? Price is the product X is called PX. Price is the product Y called PY. So how much he allocate for the product consumption of X? This is the provision for X, no? PX into X, no? Right? PX means the price and the quantity, X means X. How much the quantity is willing to buy. Right? So that is the expenditure on another side. This is the expenditure on product X. PY into Y means expenditure on product Y. This allocation for the product X for the consumption of products X and Y is given PX into X plus PY into Y. So that will equals to I means the income, right? That is the money income. No? I is the money income. That means he spent his total income among the two bundles, no? X and Y, or among the two goods that we are talking about. Right? Now, here also very important thing is what? In order to analyze, we need to think about the slope of that curve, slope of the budget. Right? What does it explain? How we take the slope? So you can explain either X in terms of Y or Y in terms of X. Right? You can take it the equation. That is the equation for the budget line. So this is the equation for the budget line, right? So how we can take? Now if we have given the money income is I, right? And the price of X is Vx, price of Y is Vy, right? And the quantity is the demand X and Y, right? We explain in terms of Y, right? So how much is willing to buy? So how much is willing to spend on the product Y is equals to 1 over Py minus Px over Py into X. So that means if you simplify this first equation, in terms of Y, you can identify this equation, right? So 1 over Py means what is it? The budget line. So that is the intersection point. Y-axis, right? Px over Py into X. So that means if you take this Y into one side and express the equation, you can take the second expression, right? Okay. So what is the Px over Py? What is it? X over P. Yes. In the equation, the linear equation, this is a linear equation, no? What is it? That is the slope, no? Right? So this is the slope of the curve explained by Px over Py. Px over Py means price of two goods, no? That is called price ratio between the two goods, no? Right? Px and Py. Px divided by Py, no? Right? So that is the price ratio between the two products. So we identified the slope of the budget line as the price ratio. Right? Px over Py we express in terms of Y. Right? Right. So this is the slope, right? So the equation for the budget line can be explained. If you have given some numerical values and asked you to derive the equation, right? So we can form this equation in terms of first as reflected in the first, no? Then you can identify, you can explain in terms of the product, X or Y. So that's the equation for the budget line, right? Since if you have given the money income and the prices of two goods, no, right? You can identify it, no, right? Think about it, right? Right. Now you can think about that is the budget line, right? So we assume the consumer has to take income, given income, and that income we allocate among the two products, no, right? In order to get the satisfaction. And at that point, we spend total income and go to the highest level of satisfaction, right? Now we have given a small example, right? So you can identify the budget line, right? Suppose you have given the particular consumer, right? His money income is 50, right? And the price of the product X and Y given as 10 and the 5. Right? Price of X is 10, price of Y is. So how we derive the budget plan for this consumer? So his money income, M is the money income, or you can take I or M in notation, no problem, right? M equal 50, price of X is 10, price of Y is 5. So how you need to identify these extreme points, no, right? In order to draw the line, no, right? So you need to identify 2 points, no, right? Like our point, right? By finding, you can draw the line, no, right? So we take these extreme points, no, right? So this extreme point explain what? He spent his whole income for the product Y. So that means 50 divided by product Y is the price of Y is 5, no, right? 50 divided by 5. So this particular point 10, no, right? If this extreme point is explained, he explained his whole income to purchase or to consume product X, no, right? And our income is 50, price of the product X is 10, so that we get 5, right? These points are 5 and 10. See? Because we take extreme points, we consume only the product Y, nothing from product X, no, right? We can get maximum the quantity is 10, no, right? That is the real income, no, right? If we spend whole income on product X, no, right? His real income is 1, right? So the combined use 2 points, we can draw the budget line. So that is the budget line for this concept, right? Now the slope is given by 10 divided by 5, no, right? 10 divided by 5. What is the slope of this curve? This 2, no? This change divided by this change, no? 10 divided by 5, that is 2. The slope of the budget line is 2. So that means the price ratio is 2, right? You can see price ratio 10 divided by 5, no, right? So that is the price ratio, no, right? It is 2, right? So the slope of the budget line is the price ratio. Or if you take, once you identify the budget line, you differentiate the budget line, then you can identify the slope, right? Right. Now, then we are looking at what kind of factors affect to shift the budget line. We know that earlier we talked about the shifting there can be a situation the consumer goes to higher level of satisfaction, right? That lies higher level of indifference, right? So in order to do that, there should be a change in income. So really, right? Other than you can move to the high level of satisfaction because only the resource we have is income, no, right? So the spending, no, right? So rather than when you can go to higher level of satisfaction. If there's a decline in the income, we move to the lower level of satisfaction. The prices actually we need to sacrifice, no, right? We reduce the consumption, our income level reduce, no, right? We are moving down, no, right? Lower level of satisfaction. In good period, indifference curves to the right. Nice higher level because people income level also sometimes who will be, right? Now you can take the two different factors. What are those two factors that goes to shift the budget line to the right or left? One is change in money income. Earlier we said money income is constant, right? But if there is a change in the money income, NOI, is the admission to right or left. If there is a rise in the money income, entire budget line, what happened? Shift to the right. If there is a recession period, if the income level goes down, this curve shift to the left, right? And the other factor is the change in the price. Now, we draw the budget line at a fixed income at a given level of prices, right? So if there is a change in the prices, that also goes to shift the budget line, but actually, really that does not shift the budget line, it rotates, right? If there is a change in the price, it rotates the budget either from x-axis or y-axis. Rotation, right? Okay, right? Now first we take the first one, change in income, right? Now original budget line BL1, right? If there's a rise in income, right? At a given level of prices, we assume prices constant, right? For the two products, right? Money income increase from M0 to M1, right? So if there is a rise in the money income at a given level of prices, Tx and the Ty is constant. Entire budget line shift to the right. Prices fixed. If the money income decrease, entire budget line shift to the left, right? So prices remain unchanged, right? Only we see change in the money income. So as a result of that, the position of the budget line change can be shifted to right or shifted to left, right? So that is the change in income. So change in prices, right? So here we see the rotations, right? Here it's rotate, from x-axis. Here it rotate from y-axis. This is the pivotal point, right? And there's a rotation, right? This is the point, right? It rotates, to left or right. Now here's the situation. Now here we take the two products, x and y, say the rice and the wheat, right? Two products, right? Now what happened here? What is the situation? There is a fall in the wheat prices, right? Remaining the rice prices constant, right? If the people have more price, right? People can consume more from wheat, right? Money income does not change, but price of the wheat prices decrease, right? Let's take from something the wheat price W0 to W1, right? This, right? So if there is a decline in the wheat price, he can consume more from wheat, right? So that we need to rotate from the y-axis, right? Wheat axis, right? So that shift to the right, actually rotate from the y-axis, right? So other side we see the rice decline in the rice prices, right? If there's a decline in the rice prices, right? From the rice axis, it shift to the right, right? It rotate to the right, right? So that means budget line shift, right? That slope is changed, right? Price ratio is changed because there is a change in the price. Earlier income only change, price ratio does not change. That means entire budget line shift to right or left parallel, right? There is no change in the price ratio. Earlier case, the slope is parallel shift, right? If there is a rise in income, money income. But here the slope change, right? Because price ratio change. Because the slope of the budget line change. Since there is a decline in the price of X or Y, keeping the other side. Right? So that is the if there is a decline in the rice prices, right? What happened? This budget line shift to the right, rotate from the rice axis to the right, right? It's given by from B to B1, something, right? So the people can consume more from the rice, right? Right. So that means he can move another point on the new budget line, right? So that explain higher level of satisfaction you can gain, no, right, by consuming more from rice, no, keeping the other side constant or something, no. So that means if you look at the consumer equilibrium, there can be any other. So indifference curve, rice, relevant indifference curve, right? I mean, under this new budget line, right? So that explain we will move to the another equilibrium point, right? So we will talk about that, right? So this is the shift in the budget line, no, right? So there can be two situations. The budget line can be shifted. No, you change in the money income, using the factors price, product prices constant, no, and the other one is if the prices change. That also will be shifting. Really, it sees the rotations, right, of the budget. So as a result of that, this there can be the consumer can go to use, they can go to higher level of satisfaction. If there is a rise in the income or decline in the prices. Right. Now, what is the equilibrium? So now we identified the indifference curve that explains the utility side, satisfaction that the consumer gain by consuming different products, no, right? So there can be different points that can be explained along the difference curve, right? So that explains the marginal rate of substitution. And in order to explain the budget situation, right, because consumer can consume under the budget, no, right? Income is the constraint. So we incorporate that one and we identify the budget line. So that explains the different combinations that the consumer can consume by spending his income, no, food, right? So at the equilibrium, we need to incorporate this budget line and the indifference, right? So that's the equilibrium situation where the consumer can contribute, right, and come to the maximum level of satisfaction. So that point explain the tangent point, the intersection. So the tangent point of the indifference curve and the budget line, right? If these two, in other words, if the slope of these two curves are equal at a particular point, no, right? So there is the equilibrium point. He spent his income fully and he got the maximum level of satisfaction. So that is the tangent point. So that means the slope of the indifference curve explained by the marginal rate of substitutions equals to the price ratio, no, right? Delta x over delta Px over Py, no, right? That is the slope of the MRS is delta y over delta x, no, right? So that x-axis is equal to the price ratio Px over Py. And if you take the equilibrium point that we explained under the utility theory, no, the ratios between the marginal utilities and the prices, the same thing explained here. Because MUX over, we can arrange this one, right? Px over Py, we know that at equilibrium point, the marginal utilities, the ratios also we need to take into account, right? So the prices, the ratios of the marginal utilities and the prices, no? So that explains the same situation, right? MUX over MUy, Px over Py equals delta y over delta x, no? Right? Or we can take Px over Py, same thing, that equals to the marginal rate of substitution. So at the equilibrium point, all these conditions are satisfied, right? Okay. MRS equals price ratio, or we can say MUX over PX equal MUy over Py. That we taken from this theory as well. So same thing is explained here, right? Consumer allocation is income, right? So the marginal utility per rupee is spent, no? Each product, no, right? That also is, no, right? So the marginal utility per rupee or per dollar, no? Per dollar, that should equal right? So the equilibrium points, it is used the tangent, right? So this is the equilibrium point, right? So they are in the indifference map, right? There can be different indifference, right? Different level of satisfaction that the consumer can gain by consuming different combinations, right? So, but that depends on the income, no, right? At a given level of income, right? So based on the particular income level, fixed income level, they come to the equilibrium. This particular consumer come to the equilibrium at the tangent point, right? So at this point, we know that marginal rate of substitution equals to the price ratio, right, between the products. That in turn equals to the marginal liquidities of the respective products, right? So this is the equilibrium point, right? So this is the combination, equilibrium conditioning combinations, right? We consume, right? We know that this curve is the budget line at a given level of prices, right? Prices, right? If the price change, this curve shift to left or rotate left or right, right? So that can be equilibrium moves accordingly, right? We can see how it is changing, right? With respect to change. And there also we see the different combinations, that is the demand. Makes sense, right? So that is the equilibrium fine. Okay, is it clear? Any question? Yes.
Then can you explain the changes in price and the budget? Changes in price in budget.
Previous.
Schemes.
So that actually so now this is the budget line, right? Okay. Now if we assume this particular person, right, is in M0 is the money income, right? Now if we take the extreme points at this point, M0 equal PY. PY0, right? This point means M0 divided by PX0, price of X, So this is the, by combining those 2 points, we can go to budget line. Right? Now the money income is fixed, right? We assume, right? Now, if we assume the price of X increase from PX to PX0 to PX1, right? Any further increase up to PX2, likewise. So that means increase. Now you will take the decrease, right? So you can take increase, right? If there is a rise in the price, what happens? Whether you can increase in the price, you have the same thing explain or shall I take increase or But we can take shift to the right, you know, that's people still go to higher level of satisfaction. If there's a decline in the prices, right, that means he can consume more, right? So when money income is fixed, right, and the prices decrease, what happens? Real income increase. So he can consume more. No? So that's why this curve shift to the rotate to the right, right? So if there is an increase in the price, as we mentioned here, right? Money income is fixed. If the price of let's say this y x x increase, so that means real income decrease, no? The quantity that we can consume or demand, no? Right? So that decrease. So that means it's rotate to left, no? Right? So like either it can rotate to right or it can rotate to left. So rotation means it's not right. So that means money income does not change, but price of X now it's decreased, no? Right? Right? It decreased, right? So if there is a decline in the price, no? Right? From PX0 to PX1. So that shift to that rotate to the right. So he can move to the higher level of satisfaction as a result of that, because if there is a decline in the price, he can consume more, right? Consume more means he definitely go to the higher level of satisfaction. Because the other axis product Y maybe remain unchanged, no? Right? Or it can be also fixed, right? So then if there is a decrease, if there is an increase in the price, what happens? So the money income does not change, but price of X increase from PX0 to PX1, no, right? This is rise, not right, in price, right? So that actually, because real income decrease, as a result of that, he can consume from the product X less, no, and he can consume sometimes higher level of combination from the product Y, right? So since there's a decline in the, now we are looking at the particular product X axis, no, right? So that actually is consumption reduced, no, right? Then shift to the left, right? Or rotate to the left, right? So that can be, that means there can be different, this is the income level, indifference curve at this level. Here, this is particular level, right? So the people can move to the different equilibrium, right? Depending on that, right? Okay. So that is the price change, right? That affects the money income does not change, but due to change in the price and increase or decrease in the price, real income change, right? So as a result of that, we see the impact on the difference budget line is rotate to that or right. Any question? So then we can identify the equilibrium, no, right? By taking into account the difference curves and the budget line. So the slopes, when it comes to equal, that explains the consumer is in equilibrium, right? He moves to the highest level of satisfaction by spending his limited income, right? Okay. So that is the equilibrium situation that gives the tangent point, no? This point, no? So this is the equilibrium. This is another equilibrium, right? Now we don't draw the two different equilibrium for the explanations I use, right? Okay. So this is E1 if you take, right? So that is the equilibrium, no? Right? So that point, at that point, what happened? Marginal rate of substitution, MRS. So that is the slope of the indifference curve equals to the price ratio, no? Right? Px over Py, no? Right? That can be explained delta X over delta Y as well, no? Right? No? And also we can relate with this MUX over PX equals MUY over PY. So that is also equilibrium point, right? All these conditions are come together, right? And the equilibrium point. Right. Okay, right? Okay, right? Now we can derive the demand curve based on that, right? How we derive the demand curve, right? So we can take this price change. Because demand curve explain relationship between the price and the quantity, right? So therefore, we have to take into account in a particular product, no? Right? Either X or Y. Price change in product X or Y, right? Here we take prices change in product X only, no? Right? Because we are deriving the demand curve for the particular product, no? Right? We know that demand curve is downward sloping. According to the law of demand that we discussed. So the theory behind the law, we explain this under the consumer behavior, how we use the indifference curve analysis, right? Now here we take, right? I'm not going to explain again, right? So we assume price of the product to decrease continuously, right? From X1 to X2, X3, right? Those are the quantities that demanded, right? Real quantities, right? With respect to change in the decrease in the price of the product to good to, right? If the price of the product to decrease continuously, let's say the price is 0 to 1 to 2 like that, the price decrease, right? So you can consume more from the product, right? That is explained by X1, X2, X3, right? So that means it's explained. Money income does not change, but real income increase due to decline in the price of the product, right? So that means we demand more from the product. So those quantities explained by X1, X2, X, right? So now we know that there can be equilibrium points, no? Right? At X1, right? So this is the indifference, this is the budget line, initial budget line, right? So this is the equilibrium point, right? E1, you can take E1, right? And this point is the E1, no? And the equilibrium point based on the given level of money income, right? Due to decline in the prices of the product 2, right? So he can consume more from product 2. So budget line rotate to the left, right? As a result of that, we can move to the another combination, right? Having excess of product 2, right? So that means its satisfaction increase. So that means its indifference curve shift to the right, right? From IC1 to IC2, right? He is moving from E0 to E1, new equilibrium point. So at the E1 point, he actually how much is demanding, we can take the quantities, right? So these are the quantities that he demand, right? From the when there is a decline in the price, right? Here and here, right? Those are the quantities, right? So there can be slight changes in the demand for the one most, right? But here we are referring only one product, right? Since we are in it, deriving the demand, right? So now we are moving from E1 to E2, right? Right? So suppose the price level further decrease from P0, P1, P2, right? Like that. So the budget line shift, rotate further, right? So since there is a decline in the price of the product 2 further, right? the consumer has the opportunity to consume more from the product too. So that means he is moving to satisfaction also goes up. So that as a result of that, the indifference curve further shift to the right from given by IC2 to IC3, right? Moving from E2 to E3 like that, right? So by those are the equilibrium points, right? So we can see with respect to changing the prices of the product to the different quantities in demand, right? And the equilibrium point. So at this point, the demand, this is the, let's say the P1, right? Higher price, earlier price is higher price. So this is the quantity, right? Let's say X1 or something, right? When the price is decreased, right? At this point, what happened? Price decrease from P1 to P2. The demand X2 something, and this at the lower price P3, the demand another quantity, right? So by combining these points, right, we can derive the demand. Right? So here we see the higher prices, lower demand, lower prices, higher demand, right? So downward sloping demand curve, again, right? Based on this price change, right, we can identify the demand curve. Right? Now you need to think about, you need to explain this, right? So starting from here, right? At the initial equilibrium, you can say this is the initial equilibrium, right? And this is the quantity, particular person demand or consume at that point, right? So then what happened? Price decrease. Right? You can assume price decrease P1, P2, P3 like that. Right? When price decrease from P1 to P2, right? We can real income increase. No? You can consume more from the product, right? So that means you moving from just another higher level of satisfaction. That explained by shifting the difference curve from IC1 to IC2 like that. So that is explained by moving equilibrium from E0 to E1. And the quantity, the relevant quantities. And then by combining these 2 points, you can derive the demand, right? Likewise, right? So what is happening behind this screen, right? Just drawing the graph is not sufficient, right? Must be able to explain the real situation, right? Starting from initial to end, right? Starting from here to here, right? What happened, right? Why there is such a gain? Why this curve goes to the right? So and how we can derive the relevant points in the demand curve, we need to explain. Okay, is it clear? Right. So that is the demand, right? Okay, right. Now we can see by looking at these equilibrium, right? The equilibrium that means the indifference curve and the budget line is models, right? We can identify the ICC and the BSAA. What is ICC? What is ICC? Income consumption curve, right? PCC means price consumption curve. What is ICC? Same thing that we discussed. So here we assume with respect to change in the income, what combination? What is the change in the equilibrium? If there is a income change because money income change, no, right? How the consumer behavior explain? What happened to the equilibrium? So if their money income increase, we know that this entire budget line shift to the right, no? We can move to the different equilibrium points that explained by Q1, Q2, Q3, like that, you know, those points, right? So by combining those points, we can derive the income consumption. Right? So here, income and the demand, right? You know what kind of relationship is there between the income and the demand. Right? In the income increase, we identify, you know, for the normal goods demand will say, right? So then this curve upward curve is okay, right? When the income increase, sometimes we see demand increase, right? So then there should be other way around, no, right? Kind of negative relationship. This does not explain now. Here explain all the time when income increase, demand also increase, no? No? So that means this is under normal circumstances. Both demand for X and Y increase is a normal group, no? Okay, right? So by looking at this relationship, we can identify by looking at the ICC, we can say the nature of the product. It is normal goods, it is different goods or luxury ingredient goods like that, right? And the PCC is price consumption curve. We do the price change. Because you see the slope of the budget line change, right? Due to the price change, no? Right? By combining those equilibrium points, right? We can derive the price change. So, price consumption curve, based on this, we derive the demand curve, no? Because this take it into account the price change, no? Right? Now, there are actually, you may remember we talk about when you derive the demand curve, why the demand curve is downward slope, it's due to two effects. Theoretical. So those reasons are we identified as income effect and the substitution effect. No? Right? Based on here, this explanation, we can identify those two effects. Right? So because here we know that money income is changed. Assume, no, right? Price of the product X change, right? Because this budget line shift to rotate to right because price of the product X decrease, no, right? So due to decrease in that one and the money income does not change, but real income change, no, right? So we can identify the income effect and the substitution effect based on this, right? Okay, right. So for the time being, now we can identify the ICC and the PCC. No? ICC explain income change, all other factors remaining constant. What happened to the equilibrium? By combining those equilibrium points, we can identify the ICC, no? Right? And the PCC means, or TC, no? PCC, no? Right? PCC means income remain unchanged, price change, no? Price change, all other factors remaining unchanged, no? Right? The impact on the indifference curve analysis. By combining those equilibrium points, we identify the price consumption. Right? Now, if you look at further, income consumption curve, right? So that explains the equilibrium points and various income levels, no? Right? The money income change, right? Yes, right? Equilibrium points. Combining those equilibrium points, we derive the price, sorry, income consumption curve, right? So that explains how the consumer's consumption pattern change, right? With respect to change in the money. So other factors, all other factors remain constant. Particularly, we know that price is the important one that remain constant, no? But we assume other factors as well, reference, no, right? The all other factors, right, that affect the demand remaining constant, right? Now, this what is your idea about the ICC, the slope? Earlier we see positive slope, no, right? Earlier case, here the positive slope, no, upward slope. Sometimes it's downward slope, negative slope. No? It can be positive or negative, no, right? So if it is positive, that means if it is always increasing, no, upward sloping, that means it's a normal, right? Normal. Right? If it is negative, that means sometimes we see the positive, then it's backward sloping, no, that means it's inferior. Right? At higher income level, people change their demand. Right? Earlier the normal foods, now it become inferior. At the lower level income, we demand, right? Higher level income also become inferior. Our lower level income, we set up use the black and lower income level goes up, then that become obsolete goods, so it becomes inferior, right? Since our income level also increase, no, compared to 80s, 90s, and then this emissions comes information, no, that. So the initial period is in black and white. If you get down that, they can go from black and white. Then it's become like from extreme and the shape of time. So high level of fever with black and white becomes inferior, so likewise, no, right? At a lower level income, it's normal. Then the income level goes up, it becomes inferior, right? So that means this ICC become negative slope or backward sloping, right? Okay, right. Now you can see here this X bar. Can you explain this? I asked you to go through the notes and come. You go through the notes. Yes. Yes. So you see, more time to see. Right. Now this is what we can see, right? So hamburger, no, right? Right. What happened at the initial income level, right? At the lower level, right? This is the budget line, no, right? Blue lines are the budget lines, right? Lower level budget line, lower level of income at the initial. Then it moves to higher level, no, right? Budget line shift to right, no? Blue line shift to right, higher level of income, right? So what happened? So the income, money income increase, no, right? So the income level with respect to the income level increase, we are moving from A to B, no, equilibrium points, no, right? Right? It's positively sloped initially, right? Now earlier, now this is the 5, then it becomes 10, no, right? From the hamburger, no, right? The rise in the income demand. There's a positive relationship. The income. But later on, beyond this income level, what happened? It becomes, it's backward, no, right? If rotate to left, so earlier rotate to right, no, this right, no, then it rotate to left, no, right? At higher level of income from B to C. So, so now ABC, combining ABC, you can derive the income consumption curve, but it explains the relationship between the income and the demand. Right? We consider income and the consumption, right? The relationship. At the initial state, when the income level increase from lower level to upper level, right? People demand more, but later on, this hamburger become inferior, right? At higher level. Because people at when the income level increase, it reduce, no? Here the 10, then at point C, it reduce, no? Right? Demand reduce. It becomes inferior, right? Normally we see normal goods, right? So when the income level increase, demand also increase. So in the ICC, right? But higher level income, sometimes it's the backward sloping. Now this one, what you see? This is also income consumption problem, right? Why income level increase, no, right? So as a result of that, entire budget lines, right, no, right? Given by P1, L1, P2, L2, no, likewise, right? As a result of that, we are moving in equilibrium, no, right? So that explained by the with the associated with the indifference curves, no? Relevant indifference curves. And Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, those are the equilibrium points, no? Right? It's the change in the income, the rise in the income, right? But what you can see, the product X, initially there is a high demand. When the income level increase, demand also increase, then the income decrease, no? Right? Product X, it's increased, but then product Y, now here the combination, if you take Q1 combination, no? Right? Q2, you can see from the product Y and the X, no? Right? Y increase, X also increase. So then thereafter, X tends to decrease, no? When income increase. Right? Initially slightly increase, then thereafter decrease, no? Negative so. Right? Initially it becomes a kind of normal goods, no? Right? But after certain income level, right, it tends to decrease. So here we see downward to the right, no? Right? The x-axis, right? So that means product X become inferior, right? So it can be backward to left or right, no? Because we explained the two products. No? By looking at the relationship, you can identify whether it's no good so right? So that is ICs, okay? So then, what is the angel curve? What is the angel curve, right? So that actually now earlier we look at the income and the demand, right? Consumption, right? ICC, right? And in the angel curve case, what is it explain the relationship between the expenditure, right? Income and the expenditure on goods, no? How much you spend. So if you look at the income, when the income increase initially, it becomes positive, right? Then thereafter it becomes negative, right? Initially you spend more, right? Then you spend. So that relationship is explained by this. Okay. Right. Normal goods and the inferior goods. So that can be seen, no? When the income change, because you change your expenditure. Right. So then price consumption curve, PCC, right? So as we identified PCC, no? With respect to changing the prices and how the consumer consumption will change with respect to changing the prices, right? And keeping other factors constant, including it. So that explains the price consumption. So we identified the price consumption curve, right? Now, this price change, right? Explain the two things, right? Because based on this, we derive the demand curve, right? So we know that explains the income effect and the substitution effect, right? So how we can identify those income effect and the substitution effect by looking at this price consumption curve or with respect to changing the price. We are going to decomposing price effect, right? Now that actually the total effect is explained by the income effect and the price substitution effect, right? So when there is a change in the price, right? We know that we identify two things, right? There is a decline in the price of the product, right? Know that. So nominal income does not change, but real income, right? So there is an income effect also, right? And with respect to decline in the price, right, compared with the substitutions, no, right? Because there are a lot of substitutions available in the market, no, right? You know that this product is more cheaper. Consumers take more than the other products, other products available in the market. That explains tends to substitute. No? That's right. When there's a decline in the price, quantity demand increase. Combining those income effect and the substitution effect. That explains the total effect. When the price decrease from 5 to 1 to 3, right? Demand increase from 10 to 50, right? The total effect is demand increase from 10 to 50, 40, no, right? So if you analyze the profile of that, no, right, okay, we can identify how much coming from the substitution and how much coming from the paid incomes. Now where we start, right? Now our initial budget line is given by Q1, right? And the indifference curve is, what is it? U3, no, right? Okay. So our initial equilibrium situation occurs at point, let's say C, no, right? So we are here, right? And we combination is Y0, X0, right? So what happened? Right now the price of the product X decreased, no, right? You can assume from P1 to P2 or like that, right? We denote here, right? M divided by M divided by Px0 to M divided by Px1, no, right? Price decrease from X0 to X1, no, right? Okay. So if there is a decline in the price of the product X, we know that this budget line rotate to right, no, right, from the x-axis, no, right. So that will explain by the blue line, right? So budget line rotate, right? So as a result of that, we can move to the new combination, no, right? Equilibrium points move from C to C prime, right? C to C prime, right? So moving from C to C prime explains the total effect, right? So due to the total effect, now we demand more from X, no, right? So that means X0 to X1. That explains the total effect, no? You take, in other words, C to C prime. Total. Now we want to deflate. Now we need to identify income effect and the price effect. So the combined effect is, due to the combined effect, we are moving from X0 to X1. So we are moving from C to C prime to the end point, right? So in order to reduce the income effect, right, what we can do? We will shift the budget line parallel to the left. We will shift the budget line parallelly to the left. These two budget lines are parallel, right? You can go, you need to go that way, right? You need to shift the budget line parallelly to the left until it tangent to the previous budget line. Because due to decline in the price, we move to the new budget line, right? So we have the new indifference curve also there, right? Because we are going to a higher level of satisfaction, right? Than the U3, because U4 explained higher level of satisfaction than U3, no, right? So in order to reduce the income effect, what we do in order to deflate, right? The income effect, we will rotate the budget line parallel to the new budget line, right? So until it tangent to the original indifference, right? So that means we are shifting the budget line until it tangent to the original indifference curve, that is explained by this dotted line, right? Right? So what is the tangent point? C double prime is the tangent point. So that means we remove the income effect, right? Shifting the budget line to the left. So that now what is the effect? Real effect. Net effect is once we remove the income effect, we know that it moved from C to C double prime. Original situation is C. Initial situation is C. C to C double prime. So x0 to, let's say this point is x2 or something. Right? So that is the price effect, no? Right? So the balance is the price effect. Net effect is the price effect. So C to C double prime explain the price effect. If we pump the income, right? C double prime to C prime. Further change, no, right? Due to the income effect, right? So we can identify those two effects, right? So C to C double prime explain the price effect. Sorry, that means the substitution effect, no, right? And C double prime to C prime explain the income effect. Right? Earlier we removed that one. If we again pump the income, right, it will move from C double prime to C prime. So that means x0 to x1 explain the total effect. X0 to x2, this point, right, explain the substitution effect. X2 to x1 explain the income effect, right? So we can further analyze those effects, right, in order to explain the situation. Right now, we know that this normal inferior given good case, no, right? We identify the inferior and the given goods, no, right? So we see this income effect and the substitution effects both are same, but the difference we see by looking at the total effect, which one is the power. Right? So in case of given good, we know that substitution effect is more powerful there, whereas the income effect, inferior goods, income effect is more powerful. That's why the total effect is negative, no, right? Since income effect is powerful, total effect become right. But here, in case of given goods, we see substitution effect is more powerful. That's why total effect become positive, no, right? So we can identify the situations, right? Right. Okay, so that's the basic. Now we identify the demand curve, right? By the demand curve is our numbers of this, and we know the demand curve, how we show the demand curve, then for the difference curve, right? And also we can identify this income effect and substitution effect, right? That explain the outcome from the demand effect, right? Okay, right? So that's from the consumer theory, right? So do you have any questions to ask? Any questions? I asked you to review the previous things and come to it. Since this is we are at the ending of this session, right? We discuss demand supply equilibrium and here again the demand curve. And the rest part, that means the everything of the cost revenue profit side that we will discuss in the next proceeding. So we are thinking from this, right? So far we talked about the microeconomics part. So the consumers behave in the market, we touch the market being, right? So then we take all the business economics, which will be business economics. Be able to study the economics. So we will move to the macro concepts, but now I will announce you, right? They need to fix the MCQ that classroom test. So how is the next 2 weeks how you are doing program sort of things are there? That we know these cyclones behavior is harder discussing. Yes. It creates like your same solutions. Yes. Today also I can give a small session. So I do this today. And then after this one, then next see test. You can suggest. Day. I day for you to suggest the day, right? So we can arrange. But today I will give you another classroom discussions. One time. Can discuss and next day. It's when we can make the let's see before ending this course. Till now from the perspective this one and today we talk about the macroeconomic environment part of that is not fully only the macro environment. Right? So what is the date you suggest? Now let's say you have the trust test. Then after that you need to submit results and after 2 weeks time, after 2 weeks, that means in the next week, third week. What is the date? Yes.
Second.
Second February. This is okay. Second February, Sunday. Sunday. 2nd February, Sunday. Morning time, right? Right. After starting the session. So it is the second February, right? So I will announce it LMS as online. Even if the online participant they can right. We have to come to the history and do that, right? So probably in 40 minutes time, right? We should be on. Right? Questions coming from first unit until this one and until this macroeconomic variance, right? Okay, that we discussed today. Right? That is the classroom test, right? So we will see, we have the classroom test, right? Scheduled on 2nd February. So like this, we all participate in that because significant mark allocate to that mean marks allocate. If we message that there is no alternative, right? So I hope all of you can need to participate for the classroom test. Whatever update in the LMS as. Okay, so with this we are moving to medical break. Yes. Okay, we take a break. After the break, we move to the next topic, right? So we talk about the macroeconomic, right? Right? First we talk about the macroeconomic page. Right? We can take the news and save the time as soon as possible. Right? You need us two assignments. We give you two questions to you.
Sorry.
I will give you two questions to you.
Previously,
Previously, two weeks, no?
yeah, 2 assignments.
Two questions I will give. I will send you today.
Okay.
You need to submit as soon as possible.
Thank you.
You need to, how about the working on this assignment? Group assignment?
Individual.
Yeah, that's individual. It's
Take it, you know.
then you have another two questions.
So, to the deadline of this individual assignment only, I have to submit
Submit before the test. Because we need to submit.
before the MCQ test.
Yes.
Then before 2nd of February.
Yes. Today I will see.
Thank you.
Yes, I hope you want. Wow. Also, Manusia katakan dalam Mr. Murray, in Rona, he doesn't mother. In mother. Yeah. Hello, good morning. Okay, we are going to start the session. New topic. Now we are moving to the. So far, we talked about microeconomic analysis, right? So under this first part, right? So basically, we talk about how consumers behave, right? So demand, supply to their situation, right? So basically, and there's a research aspect as well that we will talk about later. And then we are moving to this macroeconomics, right? And here basically we are going to talk about the basic concepts and we get some understanding about the macroeconomics, right? And we look at the major macroeconomic variables, right? And the macroeconomic problems and the policies, right? And national income calculations and you know that what kind of benefits are there in measuring national income, right? And we will try to understand the macroeconomic activity as well, right? So at this session, right? And then we will look at some theoretical aspects relating to my macroeconomics. Basically, we talk about this ISLM model, right? So this time I hope to do a little bit covering the all areas in one course outlines, right? ISLM, right? With some understanding about the it's in here, right? So now here basically as introduction part, right? Now we can talk about macroeconomics, right? Sometimes you know about macroeconomics, right? Even at the introduction part, we highlight we differentiate the microeconomics and macroeconomics, right? Very nice. So when how we can differentiate the two branches, these are the two branches in economics. We identify microeconomics and macroeconomics, traditional economics. The microeconomics, you know that basically as we discussed, no, right? Individual perspective is a micro environment kind of analysis, right? So we look at how the consumers and the producers behave in the market environment, right? So that's actually basically there we know that we discussed about the price mechanism, right? And kind of a partial equilibrium analysis, right? Okay. We can aspect how the price and the quantities determine basically, if you look at this in microeconomics, when you look at the consumers' behavior and the producers' behavior, now we are talking about under business economics, right? You know that it's basically we are going to look at the resource allocation, right? So now here, last point we have identified how the limited income is allocated. Now, here in difference balance, so things explain how the consumer, how we decide to maximize utility of time, how we can allocate this limited income, that is the resource scarcity. So in order to maximize the utility, right? So basically talk about the resource allocation. The microeconomics part, we analyze the resource allocation, how the consumer allocate resources optimum manner in order to maximize the profit. Optimum allocation of resources. In order to explain that one, we will give some insight from the theoretical background, analyzing this immediate theory, independence curve analysis, and there is another one for maybe propeller speed. Right? So all these things explain how the consumer allocates scarce resources in order to get the maximum satisfaction. Because we know that we identified this behavior, the rational behavior, right? Rational man, right? Rational behavior. So always individuals try to maximize their own objective. So consumer maximizes utility, producer maximizes profit. So that is the rational behavior. We identified it as optimization. Optimization. So when it comes to the macroeconomics, it's unlike the microeconomics. It's talk about the overall economy, right? We are going to understand about the overall economic behavior. So how we are going to understand the overall economic behavior by analyzing the set of macro variables. So economy is identified in macroeconomics as a set of variables. I mean, in the simple ancient model, right? Computerization model, we identify set of variable consumption, investment, right? Savings, money demand, money supply. Right? So those are the set of variables that explain the overall economic behavior. By combining all these variables, we identify this is the economy. So by looking at the consumption, investment, savings, right? So that explains the real sector in the economy, real sector. And money demand, money supply explain the monetary sector. Right? So you know that economy is the real and the monetary sector. Right? We have the real sector, which market, and the money market. So by analyzing those two aspects, we can get the idea about the overall economy, how it is behaving. So that's why in the ancient data we are going to analyze by this basic way. Right? Apart from that, there are set of other macro variables. Looking at the economic growth, budget, economic expenditure, economic revenue, right? All these variables are explained broader, right? As a payment, right? Common debt, as any of these, not the micro. We are going to analyze the overall economy. Now you can think about this micro and the macro, right? Which one is more important? This microeconomics talk about resources allocation. Macroeconomics talk about something else. The overall economy basically look at how the resources are fully employed. Right? They are the underlying concept is full employment. Microeconomics, you know that resource allocation, optimum allocation of resources. When it comes to the macroeconomy, they are going to look at how the resources are fully employed. Full employment. So basic concept is full employment. Can I put that way as said, right? Now all these macroeconomic theories that we are going to explain, there are set of theories, right? From the initiation, right? Macroeconomic ideas originated from the 1930s with the John right? Part of macroeconomics, right? So later on, there are set of economics, even before that, there was some economics, so some of the macroeconomics by their own microeconomics, right? That we talk about this classical theory, say, right? And then we talk about the wealth of nation, right? Even that's kind of microeconomic analysis. Talks about the and so the wealth is determined. The factors of production, the technology. So therefore, we can identify a set of variables, early economics, right? Talk about the macroeconomics, even though it's a microeconomic player. Yeah, those economics as classical economics. We have theory developed based on classical ideas, classical view. We are not going to discuss, right? There are theory that explain how the employment is determined, how the interest rate is determined, how production output is determined. Classical theory also explain. And apart from that, we can identify the Keynesian theory. Basically, now these schools, because first also we identify these schools, different schools, and we can the evolution of economics, right? That's where the schools Keynesian school like that, right? So they are actually developed against the previous version. Classical against the classical economics, Keynesian theory. Against the Keynesian theory, you know, there are those Keynesian and monetarism, right? Likewise. Okay. So that explains this solution of the macroeconomics as well, right? Starting from that, okay. So macroeconomics basically look at the overall economy, right? To explain the behavior of the overall economy at a large scale, right? Come to micro. So basically, we know that there, what is the tool we use there? Aggregate demand, aggregate. At the very first actually, model process. And you remember? ADA's model, right? Aggregate demand, aggregates. So, and also the equilibrium, we are going to talk about how the full employment is determined. How the resources are fully employed, including the factors of production and the technology. So that's something we talk about at the BPC analysis, no? How we are coming to the point of the BPC, right? So that kind of thing, right? So okay, right? So you can recall the things that we discussed in the first stage, right? Differentiating the microeconomics and the macroeconomics. We explained in the graphical way, right? Microeconomics, the demand and supply goods identified, then it's determined. Make up macroeconomics, aggregate demand and the aggregate supply. Okay. 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 Right. So now, why we need macroeconomics? Why? Earlier we talked about the microeconomics, right? They are also important to explain. Cannot ignore, right? Is everyone as an individual, we want to increase our wealth, right? Maximize our utility. Producers, they want to get the maximum return for their investment, right? Profits, right? So therefore, that's also very important. But when we are talking about even the microeconomic things, right? Even the consumer behavior in the market, producers behavior in the market environment, right? They have to take decisions, right? They know what should happen, what is going to be happen in the market, the internal, external environment, changes and so on. Right? Especially that is very important when it comes to the business sector, right? This external environment, right? Changes in the macroeconomic environment, and there are potential impact on the business. So, because when we are trying to get the maximum return for our investment, the information coming from this external environment and taking appropriate decisions, addressing those challenges and opportunities coming from the external environment is very important. Even simply bigger changes, right? Very important, right? Sector business people, they are worried about this, right? Because sometimes, even though we believe this political factors, sometimes it's more serious, right? Than the economic factors. Now there's a everyone talk about this election, right? Previous, right? So that actually the changes in the government and there's a political instability created because of this election and so on, right? So once the new government came into operation, right, established, what happened? There's some sort of stability in the political environment. Right? That actually favorably affected the business sector. Macroeconomic, correct the macroeconomic parameters. Just the appreciation is taken by the government policy. See, we cannot see the clear policy. That is one aspect, but with the establishment of this political authority, right, there's some kind of certainty for the reduce the risk and uncertainty risk of the environment, right? Even in the external, right? Investments, no? And so on. Right? So therefore, it's state-based business environment and macroeconomic environment to stabilize, right? So that actually more important, right? So we can see, right? Therefore, even though we talk about the macroeconomics, right? Sometimes it overrides the political factors, sometimes. If there is uncertain, unfavorable political environment, may worsen the macroeconomic. So there is a stagnating because people are not taking decisions. They are clear. So that's why now we see the share market also improving, right? The political stability and some macroeconomic is competitive so on, right? Right. So therefore, even though we talk about this microeconomics, so that also explain important things, but that itself influenced by the macroeconomic fundamentals. Therefore, looking at the macroeconomic factors, they are potentially impact the business, the individuals. Right? That's very clearly. You can take the long budgets, right? Budgetary decisions, communal fiscal policy, right? So that affects the individual, right? The government pays the don't expect something, they did put the taxes, no? Cannot expect such a change, right? But instead of that, some of the taxes imposed, right? They only tax increase from 5 to 10, right? That affects the whole people, not like one. But it affects the individual decisions, right? Savings, something more business. All these things, even those I get the big one. We need to think about it, right? So that's why now when we talk about the macroeconomics, we are dealing with so many problems, right? Right? What sort of problems you have? Yes, these days, we are dealing with so many problems, right? What are the problems you have? Yes. No. What sort of problems you have? Are you working, right? Salary is your income. You have any problems? Yes. No problems. Huh? So we have this problem, right? Sometimes in the go down. Right? So we know good prices, right? Yes. Price problems, right? Yeah. Yeah, right. We're facing some problem. That affect you with something. Patient. Yeah, right. Patient. See, prices are stable, but see higher level, right? Level is high, right? And the previous prices, due to the prices we get is about 3 months, no, right? Now the exchange rate also 300 now. Because it is one of these import barriers, the next month, there is pressure. Pressure is right? The exchange rate. So, there may be a negative impact, right? Every aspect, right? That may hold the prices as well, right? But goods, right? So, and also apart from that, the income level, our income level is low, right? Right. And this is our per capita income, your income level, average income. So, even though in dollar terms it says 380 around something, right? But the income level is something. But we can there's a problem, no, right? Are we getting $2 Can imagine your income, that is income, right? That is not sufficient. And inflation, unemployment problems are there, right? See the economy now, some sort of improvements we see, potentials are there. And see the negative growth, right? Expansions provide opportunities, right? Such problems are there. And if you take the budget, there's a deficit in the budget. 38%, 10% more time. Then also, how much is the debt burden? We are in the not totally recovered, right? Our HP allows more than 100%, right? And our income is not sufficient to pay off the debt, right? It is to around 140%. It's around 135%. If the income under, that is not sufficient to pay off the debt. Or income, right? The situation, right? But is some kind of stability is there in prices, inflation. The state, no price. On the level, no price. It's not there, right? But some problems are there. We need to find the solution for this problem. How we can get rid of this. We need to find some kind of analysis can be created under the microeconomic analysis. So therefore now you don't know that if you go to the rural area, but that explain the broader view, right? How it comes. Right. And now, macroeconomics basically is, as we mentioned, it's studying about overall economic behavior. Right? So how we are going to explain the overall economic behavior by looking at the economic aggregates and averages. What are the economic aggregates and the averages? So we are looking at, analyze the behavior of these variables. How we explain the behavior by analyzing, by identifying what factors determine those variables. Today, economic aggregates coming from, right? We need to analyze what factors determine the growth. Right? And how it is related with the other variables. So these macro variables are interrelated. Income, growth affects the employment. Inflation, all these things are related. Right? Supplement all these things. Straight, all these things are related. Right? That's why it's very complex environment. Right? See the macroeconomic variables, averages, and the aggregate are interrelated. So therefore, it's create complexities in the macroeconomic environment. That's why there can be a different analysis, right? Different interpretation. If you ask about the behavior or the solution for these problems, right? Different purposes can be explained with different perspectives, different way of analyzing and explain the things, right? There are some. But understanding those variables and their behavior, their determinants, and how those variables change over the time is very, very important. You don't make a decision. In our analysis, in macroeconomic analysis, we are going to look at all these aspects, right? So what determines these macro variables, and averages and aggregates, right? How those variables are interrelated, and how these variables are changed over the time, right? Trend එක තමයි. So basically, these three areas we look at. Basically, we analyze the overall economic behavior by looking at the behavior of the economic aggregates and the average. What are the economic aggregates? Those are the aggregate demand, aggregate supply, aggregate expenditure, aggregate income. The other variables that we estimate and averages are the prices. Right? Average prices. So the inflation is the average price. Okay. And the interest rate. We take the 12 months. Treasury bill rate. Weighted average lending rates. Exchange rates also take. Those are the averages. We look at the prices basically. Internal prices and the external prices. So the internal prices are the prices of goods and service and the price of money, like the interest rate, and the external price is the exchange rate. So when you are converting your currency with the rest of the currencies, that is the exchange rate. So the behavior of all these variables, together with the macroeconomic aggregates, explain unto the economics. So we look at what determines the variables and what kind of relationship is there, right? Because if we are explaining the overall economic behavior, we need to understand how these variables are interrelated. Because one variable change, you see the policies, right? So it will affect the other variables. Because macroeconomics policies, we design to change these macro variables and averages. Because we need to control inflation. Therefore, we need to use the monetary policy. Maybe the exchange reserve policy also to some extent affected. Yeah, inflation and so on. So, and there may be an effect on the other variables as well. So, the policy is basically designed in such a manner to control these variables. So that means that this one side we look at the macro variables, the behavior of the macro variables, and also the policies also we look at under the macro variables. So that's why we say it's a policy oriented part. So we are going to analyze the economy based on these explanations, and also in order to control these variables in appropriate manner, right? We use the macroeconomic policies. Thereby, we are trying to achieve the macroeconomic objective. So, therefore, one aspect, the macroeconomy basically analyze the behavior of the variables. And so, behavior means we are going to look at what factors determine and the relationship and the trend. Okay. And also, apart from that, there is policy analysis. So when you look at the theoretical explanations, you look at the policy implications. So that's a very important aspect in macro. Okay, is it clear? What is clear? There is a problem, right? You see, right? So there's a big story behind that, right? Don't take this with the right. So the macroeconomics, those are the micro and macro, those are the running things. Running micro means small, macro means large, right? So basically, macroeconomics has to mention and like the overall economic behavior, right? In an aggregates. Okay. And these are the things, right? Now, if you take the growth, economic growth, what does it mean? Economic growth means the real change in the output, no? Real terms. Right? So that means the constant GDP, right? Real GDP. How the real GDP change over the time, right? Growth means increase in the real GDP over a period of time. Right? And the previous year. So in order to have an economic growth, right, it's a long-term phenomenon. Right? If 1 year every range to the highest level 8%, that is not the real growth. Right? Growth should be sustained, right, over the years. It's a long-term phenomenon. We maintain stable growth over the years. That's why we need to analyze the trend. Right? That's the real growth. If we can say if there's expansion, if there's a growth over the time, we can say there's a real expansion of our growth. There will be a favorable effect on the assets. Now, if you look at the growth potentials, growth previous, that is one aspect. We are looking at the trend, right? How the growth change over the years, right? So when you analyze this change, you can explain several what are the contributory factors, right? These fluctuations, right? Must be able to explain, right? And then you can predict the future as well. So we actually forecast the future, right? Forecast the demand. Right? Now, for an example, in 1970s, right? What happened? 1970s initial period is not a good period, right? Because we had a policy, inward-looking policy. But the latter part of the economy, 1977 and afterwards, we opened up the economy, right? The fight of central government came into operation, that's why we were led by Jajavat, right? So use this open policy to open, right? But some kind of relaxation. With that, actually, we see the growth potential increase in 1970s, in 1978, 29, no, right? About 8%, no, right? So there are actually later on what happened. Now, growth fluctuators and it decreased if you look at in 1987 afterwards. So with the now this period actually 1980s up to the 1980s, what happened? Twin deficit is started, right? Tiger, the Japan and the Australians and the outside AVP, 1980s. So that comes to the peak situation in the JVP movement in 1980s, 89. So sometimes you may remember, you can ask the parents and the line. And then ask them, so many things happen. And I come to the peak situation in 1989. So that's why we have a global growth 1.87 or something, right? With this same disturbance. So that's why the political stability is very important. These political factors, war, internal war situation, right? Create negative impact on the economy that worsens the macroeconomic factors, right? So that's why we say sometimes political factors are more important than the macroeconomic factors, right? Because there will be a bad effect on them. So this explains the civil war, political instability. Right? So even though we push up the economy later on with these same disturbances, so our investment decrease, we will not be able to attract the foreign investments, right? Employment increase, right? So much of infrastructure destroyed, right? So there's no free conducible environment for the investment to take place, right? So therefore, it's a decline. Later on, after even 90s, there was a crisis, right? World economic crisis, 5 something, right? So the policies also changed after that. Now, 89 actually, after 89, to take the 94, the government changed, right? So, after 89, this Premadasa came into operation, right? Power, right? Actually, some kind of reforms introduced, and during that period, right? we call it as bread and butter reforms. Right? So some kind of garment factory projects and so on, right? Okay. So therefore, some encouragement given that period, right? But that was not sustained, right? So later on, this Chandrika came into power, right? You know that he introduced human face to the market economy, like the new concept, but policy is not clear, right? So, but the civil disturbance is Tiger, those things affected. And when it comes to the 2001, so that is actually the external crisis, economic crisis, world economic crisis under the Ranil Wickremesinghe government, right? First time, there's been the rigid controls, right? But actually that recorded the negative growth first time, right? But again, we recorded this negative growth in the first time. Then the first time in 2000. Due to this the crisis and the economic crisis, dollar crisis, no, right? So much of things, no, right? So now first thing is there are fluctuations you see, no, right? The overall economy, these macroeconomic variables, right? So you can analyze those things, no, with the change in the governments, with the change in the political factors, policy changes, and external economy, how it is affected likewise, no, right? So these things are more sensitive factors. No, right? So we can identify what are the causal factors. Yeah, nice. Over the time of the savings. So trend, no, right? So if you look at the average growth is around 5%, no, right? If you plot a trend line for this, no, right? The average growth rate is, even though we introduce so much of reforms time to time, right? Liberalize, privatization, all these things, right? But we have an average growth rate around 5%, right? That is the problem. Right? Short-term growth is not attractive compared with the changes that we compared with our expectations, right? That's why we have the problems, right? Macroeconomic problem. Okay. Right. If you look at this one, right? So okay, right? So now 60s, if you take our growth rate is 4.6%. 60s, 1960s. 1970s, 3.9. 60s, if you look at government basically some kind of restrictive policy. So at that time, one time, you know, the Samagi Peramana government, they call this led by the Samagi Peramana, right? So they initially 1940s when we gained the independence, what sort of economy we had? They had import export economy, favorable situations. Okay, so right? Both take a paper, right? So there's a favorable situation in the internal and the external environment. Our research accumulate. But after gaining the independence, when we take the ruling, right? So much of problems create, right? So we were not able to take surplus in the balance of them, right? So still we have the current account deficit, right? The budget, right? So that's the problem, right? So 70s actually restrictive gross economic policy, tight economic control introduced, right? So now we see the 71, 0.2 growth rate is very low, right? And even in 1970, mid of 1970s, same thing, right? Also, it's still low, right? But average 3.9% is recorded because the latter part of the 1970s, 1978, was coming down policies. With that, there's a huge investment government, actually, huge investment, right? Therefore, tax-rate economy is set. So when it comes to the 1980s, average is 4.3, but 1987, 88 period, then they had a lower growth rate because of the civil disturbances, right? 1990s, it's also same policies continue, right? Some with some reform, right? Reform introduced, right? Open economic policies. We had a favorable situation. Both is average 5.2%. In 2010, that was the same, right? So then basically the open economy, but we get more empowering the poor, right? Some kind of fiscal incentives given, right? For poor policies introduced, right? Especially in 2009. And when it comes to the 2011-20, 4.3. But we had a negative growth in 2020 because this crisis period, no, right? So COVID, social crisis, and economic crisis, income crisis as. And what we see, the policies on economy, poor and government more involved under the Mahindra option and with this term with some parliament, right? And 77 to 27, 22 average 4.9%, right? So basically the policies of economy, right? This new this growth rate is not attractive, right? So that's why we need to change the system, right? Yes, right? Okay. So if you look at the debt ratio, right? So debt earlier actually slightly changed, no, right? So internal debt, external debt, right? Now you see reliance on the external debt decrease after the 2000. Right? We rely more on the domestic or internal debt. So but later on the outlook picture changed, no, right? We are moving to the prices situation, debt prices, right? Because for debt increase, right? With this bond issue and so on, right? Right? So that create debt management. It's very serious, no, right? That creates so much of the concerns for the overall economy, right? And the prices environment, right? Leading for reserves, right? Situations, right? Right. Inflation rate now is we have the lower negative inflation also recorded, right? Fluctuation stabilized, right? But some sort of level of inflation is high, right? And look at the share of GDP, you know, structure of the economy, right? Now, 1950s, if you look at our structure, right? We know that dominant is the agriculture segment. Main contributor to the economy is agriculture. For 50%, half of the contribution coming from the agriculture. 31% from the that reduced 31%, and when it comes to 2000, it reduced up to 1 digit level, 9%. Right? Now we see this structure change, right? Now that we can observe by looking at the sectorial contributions to the GDP, right? By analyzing the overall economy, right? Now we see the 1950 the dominant agriculture, right? So when it comes to the research, right? Now the service sector is the dominant, contributing more than 65%. But industrial sector actually, even though we introduced industrialization policies after 77 onwards, right? Still, it's not encouraged, right? So the growth of the industrial sector is not remarkable. Kind of stagnating behavior we see. Right? Still, it's contribute to 6%. And also the serious things we see the contribution coming from the agriculture sector. It's increased last year. Now, normally there should be like a pyramid, no? Structure should be a pyramid. Main contribution the bottom percent agriculture, right? Middle should be percent industry and the service. Because Service sector provides services to the industry and the agriculture. There should be an inward and backward linkages on these sectors, but we cannot see such a linkages, right? And our pyramid is other way around. And the service sector is the dominant, agriculture is small. Like opposite, no? It is not stable, no economy. Stable economy should be the pyramid. But it's other way around. It's the case. So therefore, we need to think about this agriculture sector. Contribution coming from agriculture sector. There is a real value addition coming from that area. Right? Real value addition. Because industry sector, construction, even though we export real contribution, the value addition is less because we are importing so much of the areas. So you can look at the structural change, no, right? The economy. Right? Over the years, all the structure is changed. The impacts and analysis of that and potential challenge. No? Right? Right. Okay, right. So, so that's we will stop from here. Do you have any questions to ask? Right? This is good to hear, right? Good to hear, right? So, but you need to think about seriously, right? This network. Right? Okay. Any questions? Since they are running up with the time, right? Stop time. So please remember, right now we have the deadline. So the mutual assignment is submitted on time. And there will be another question given to you, right? So this is the question I will upload to the LMS, right? So you need to look at these macro variables, right? Frames and macro variables, right? What are the frames and what kind of challenges and opportunities needed with those variables, right? By looking at the movement side. We need to discuss the current trends, macro variables, and challenges and the future prospect. So that's a group assignment, right? You know the group, right? So I will upload this one to the LMS, right? We will be given deadline is given 4th February. Is it okay? What is the deadline? We decided 3 weeks, no? 8 is Saturday and out 9. So this will be the last one, right? So if you have any problem, you can help me, right? Because we have ready for to submit that assignment, right? Previous time, we will go on. And this one can submit the date, right? And we'll change it, right? So that's a group assignment, okay? Group discussion, right? Please submit. So based on this macro variable, right? So thank you very much. We'll stop and how to make you May I have a pen, please? Go ahead.